Hey everybody, it's Yasmin here. How you going? I'm not quite ready to be on camera today, but never mind. I am here. What's news, guys? So today I want to talk about women, the moon, and toxic masculinity. Ta-da! It's actually a really intense subject. And let me give you a bit of background. It came up for me because I had an experience on a marketing platform yesterday, which is known for being quite sort of toxic and masculine. And it happened because somebody in this group, it's just a business group, and somebody in this group had said, I'm thinking about starting an astrology business, you know, can anyone, I've got a client who wants to start an astrology business, can anyone give me any tips? And it started off with this particular man who said something along the lines of, I wouldn't touch that business for all the money in the world, which, you know, I bet isn't true anyway. And then, you know, it just went from there. I said that I do astrology and it's an amazing tool and it's helped me with my life and it's helped, you know, hundreds of thousands of other people. I know that actually millions of people I think have been helped by astrology by this point because astrology has now become so mainstream. And, you know, I know that as someone who's been sort of teaching and espousing astrology and moonology coupled with spirituality for the past 20 years, I know that I've helped literally thousands and thousands of people. And how do I know that? Because you write to me and you say thank you and you tell me how I've helped you. Anyway, so it then devolved into this horrible, nasty thing. I must admit, I almost became rude and then I didn't. I think my parting comment, so this guy said things like to me, like, you're a charlatan, you're a liar, you know, all this horrible negativity. And a few other men chimed in as well. A few women actually didn't and stood up for me. And I ended up by saying, I work from my heart. If you can't understand that, that's your problem, not mine. Okay, so that was basically where it ended, and then the admins closed it down because it was so horrible. Anyway, and I almost was going to write at one point, but I didn't post the message, was, you know, this is the typical, I'm going to swear now, so if you're allergic to swearing, put your fingers in your ears for a few minutes and I'll go like that when you can take your fingers out of your ears. I almost wrote, this is classic patriarchal bullshit. I've sworn. And, you know, 500 years ago, men, basically, would burn women alive at the stake in the village square in front of everybody. You know, literally, they would have a woman, a live, normal woman like you and me, and they would tie her hands behind her back, and they would tie her to a stake, a big pole, and they would tie her with rope around her, and underneath her would be a fire set, a fire, wood, and they would light it. And they would literally burn her to death, okay? Now, they didn't just do this to one or two women. We know that thousands, some people even say millions of women were burned alive at the stake for doing the kinds of thing that we talk about here, you know? Now, they also used to drown women, okay, and they used to hang them for doing the stuff that we're doing here, moon work. Now, I don't like to be patriarchal, you know, I mean, two of the people I love most in my whole entire world, if not the people I love my mum and my sister, obviously, but, you know, the two people I love most in the world, apart from, you know, as much as I love anyone or more, are my husband and son, two men. Okay, so I am far from some kind of, whatever the word is for misogyny for women. I don't know, there is a word, I saw it the other day. My father was one of the most wonderful people, humans, that you could ever imagine. And my best male friends, of whom I have quite a few, are off the scale amazing. So I am not a man hater. I'm not anti-men, you know. And when I speak of toxic masculinity, I'm not talking about, you know, all men are horrible, because obviously I don't think that. I was raised by a wonderful man. My husband is a truly wonderful man. My son is an amazing young man, you know, has taught me so much about men. And I love my male friends, so it's not that. But there is this element in the male society, in the masculine society, and I think, excuse me, particularly in some parts of business, and there are some cultures in some companies, and I think this particular company has it, where there's just this toxic masculinity going on. And, you know, the thing is, 500 years ago, they could burn us alive in the village square, just burn us to death. Now they can't. So what do? They belittle us. Now, why do they do it? This is really the important point I'm getting to here. This is the really important point. Why do they do it? Because they're afraid of our powers. And I'm not joking. I know it sounds mad, but it's true. They do it because they are afraid of women. Okay? They do it because they're afraid of women's powers. Now, why do I teach about the moon? Because the moon is one of the things that gives us its powers. All those women who were burned alive at the stake 500 years ago, most of them, well, not all of them, because some women were burned just for having a black cat. A lot of them were working with the moon, because the moon gives us powers. And I really want you to get this. Women are so emotional. The moon is about emotions. We create with our emotions, okay? That's all you need to know to get started. And that's all I'm going to say. Apart from, if you want to work with the moon, I'm doing a free 3-part webinar, and there's a link in the description above. I would love you to join me. It starts next week. But don't let those men get you down. You know, I was literally sitting here thinking, what am I going to say to these people? Am I going to write to the admins and say, are you just going to turn off the comments? Don't you think it should go further than that? This is toxic masculinity, blah, blah, blah. And then I just did my chanting that I do every day at 10:30 a.m. London time, about 40 minutes ago, 50 minutes ago. You can find the link on my events page. I fixed it up. You will find it this time. And as I was chanting, it literally came to me like Carly speaking to me, saying, Yasmin, don't waste your efforts, don't waste your time. You've got more important things to do than write to the admins of that site and say, I hope you admonished those horrible toxic men yesterday. Better things to do. All right, got a card anyway. Don't know what this is about for me, but anyway, let's see, maybe for all of us. A personal issue reaches resolution. That's our card for the day, guys. Full moon in Cancer. Oh, well, the first thing I see is the additional meanings for this card. Meditate to soothe heightened emotions. Should we do a quick chant? Should we do a quick chant now? Let's do a chant. Things are likely to get very heated when this card comes up, because it's the full moon in Cancer, which, by the way, of course, is really strongly indicative of the goddess, and the goddess is rising, and that's why all this stuff is coming up, you know. And the enlightened men will come with us, and I don't know what's going to happen to those oafs. I really don't. This card indicates an especially feminine time. This card indicates an especially feminine time. It also heralds the time to deal with any family issues. Nothing to worry about. It signals a challenge is now coming to an end. Well, that's bloody good news, eh? All right. I'm going to do a chant. But before I do, let me just say again, I'm doing a free 3-part webinar. And I especially would love people who are yoga teachers and Reiki teachers and herbalists And anybody who's working with people, anyone who's running women's ceremonies, women's circles, anyone like that, or anyone who just wants to know about working with the moon, working with the moon, do the free webinar. The moon is leading the divine feminine. And I'm going to try and get Demetra George on, you know, as she says in her book, The Mysteries of the Dark Moon. The goddess is the moon incarnate. I'm going to end with a chant. Here we go. We're going to clear our chakras. Oh, crystal healers, absolutely, Alicia. If you're a crystal healer, if you work with the moon, if you're interested in the moon, if you're teaching other people anything like crystals or Reiki or angels or, you know, anything, it's really good. The more you know about the moon, the better, especially if you're a woman or an enlightened man. Little chant to finish us off. Here we go. Thank you for listening. Hari Om Nam Lam Mam Vam Sim Ram Vam Yam Yam Ham Shiva Ram Swaha. Have a beautiful day. I will see you on Monday.